What's good, everybody? It's old Papa G, and I got some more WoW content for you guys. Obviously, the release date for Shadowlands has been dropped. It's November 23rd, so I got some pretty big news. Since it's 20 days left until Shadowlands comes out, I'm going to make one video every single day up until Shadowlands comes out, so that's 20 videos. It's going to be all PvP based. I want to get as much content as I can out for you guys. That way, everybody's informed and you can know what you want to pick for PvP terms when the day comes. Obviously, if you guys have been enjoying my content, I would really appreciate a sub and a like to my channel. And that's it. Now let's jump into it. For this video, how we're going to start it off is going to be Shadowlands Top 5 3v3 Arena Comps. So it's going to be all about what the threes teams are the best right now from what I've seen from playing myself, along with other videos I've seen professional players and skill capped. So this is my opinion based on everything that I've put together. Alright, so now let's get into it. So, number 5. We have Sub-Rogue, Discipline Priest, and Elemental Shaman. The one thing I want to say before I start talking about this comp is I'm not going to spend too much time on Sub-Rogue and Discipline Priest because they seem to be commonly occurring throughout the other comps. So I'm going to talk a lot more about them on the other comps. So on this one, I'm going to really focus on Elemental Shaman. And as you can see at the end, I have Ret in quotation marks. Basically, you'll see why I have that as we get into it. So, talking about Elemental Shaman right now. This comp has good setup damage with Primordial Blast and Lava Burst combination. It has really good healing from obviously the Discipline Priest and the off heals with Earth Shield, Healing Stream Totem, both being baseline, and Healing Surge. Excellent utility from the Elemental Shaman's totems with Tremor and Grounding Totem. Both are essential and they work very well. Pretty good CC. It's not the best, but it's definitely noteworthy with Hex, Fear, Lightning Lasso, and obviously all that the Rogue brings to the table, which we will get more into that in other comps. Recent changes to Elemental Shaman with Lava Burst specifically. Before, Lava Burst was extremely bursty, giving one-hit KO capability. A couple things have changed. Lava Burst is still really strong. It can still two-hit people very easily, but with the changes that have been made, it gave more damage to Flame Shock instead of Lava Burst, and it also increased the duration of how long Flame Shock stays on the target, which equals more ticks from the damage from that, from the dots, making it... But this isn't necessarily a bad thing, because it's really less about your Lava Burst and more about your overall damage. So now, instead of just focusing full-blown on Lava Burst, it's well-rounded with Earthquake, Earth Shock, Lava Burst, Flame Shock, etc. So it's still good. Like I said, it could still basically two-hit KO. And the burst is still really strong, not even including how much burst the Rogue is going to bring to the table and the consistent damage from Discipline Priest that can basically match up with some of the lower-end DPSs anyway. Sub-Rogue and Discipline Priest always work excellent together. The third position is basically an X Factor, almost like a formula. It's basically Sub-Rogue, Discipline Priest, and a large burst as the third for the comp, which is why I have Ret Pally in quotes right now, because they've seen a little bit more changes. Before, they were pretty much all or nothing with their one-hit KO ability, but now a lot of their other moves have seen buffs, so they have really well-rounded overall burst, so I still think that they could be supplemented in and out for the Elemental Shaman. Now, we're going to get into our number 4. So, number 4, I had a little bit of a hard time narrowing it down. So because of that, I'm going to talk about all of it. So as it says here, it says Affliction Warlock, Resto Druid or Discipline Priest, and Unholy Death Knight and Shadow Priest. Now, if you're doing Unholy Death Knight, it's going to be Affliction, Unholy Death Knight, and Discipline Priest. If you're doing Shadow Priest, it's going to be Affliction Warlock, Resto Druid, and Shadow Priest, and we're going to get into both right now. I couldn't pick and choose. I think it's just all really strong. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is going to be Affliction, Unholy, and Discipline Priest. So, let's get into it. First off, it's heavy sustain, good consistency, and great pressure. all three classes will use dot pressure. I give Discipline Priest a slight edge for better damage and dots, but the Druid will still work nicely. It's just I would prefer Discipline Priest for this combination specifically. Excellent spread ability of dots. The pressure will be hard to overcome for healers after a while. It's different from traditional comps this meta, which is just massive amounts of burst. This is more the sustain. It's built for the longer battles and longer matches. Once big burst teams blow all their cooldowns, they're going to be done against this comp. This comp is going to prevail. Good CC overall. You have two different types of fear. Obviously, you have Mind Freeze, which is like kick. Some people are picking Asphyxiate. Strong damage, not only from the dot spread, but some good burst as well. Ever since Death Knight was introduced to the game in Wrath of the Lich King, Unholy has always paired well with Warlock. It's known as Shadow Cleave. I don't imagine Warlock or Unholy seeing any nerfs from this point. Nothing seems too overpowered, and it seems like they're pretty much perfectly made and well-rounded, so I think that they're going to remain the same from here on out. Now, if you choose Shadow Priest, we're going to get into that. CC is going to be even better with 2 fears, Psychic Horror, Silence, Cyclone, and Mighty Bash, because now you're replacing the Discipline Priest with the Resto Druid. Even easier to spread your dots. It's even easier to reapply your dots when they get removed. Better overall survivability and durability now with off heals and impenetrable ability from the Shadow Priest. Like I just said, instead of this, it's going to be Resto. It's the best option. You're still going to do the dots from your Druid. They'll still be effective with all three, putting their dots on with Moonfire and Sunfire. Shadow can now apply shields to all, so it's really, really strong. Just off heals, regular heals, everything. This is a really hard comp to kill. It's extremely hard to take them all out. And the mobility of the team, we'll see an uptick now that it's Resto Druid rather than Discipline Priest. Okay? So, now we are up to our number 3 comp, which is Sub-Rogue, Discipline Priest, and Marksman Hunter. This is also known as Thug Cleave. This is a DPS stealth start. Obviously, this priest can't go in stealth. It's a DPS stealth start. Somewhat a little bit all or nothing with the burst. Survivability, out of all the ones in the top 5, this would be on the lower end for survivability. Pretty good reset ability with Rogue. Obviously, they have Vanish, Smoke Bomb, and things like that. The Hunter has Aspect of the Turtle, Disengage, Post Haste, and then you can Fiend's Death back into Camouflage from the Fiend's Death. So you're getting a decent reset out of that. It's excellent at finishing the job. Once you get them to a certain positioning, they're going to really have a hard time living. They're really good at keeping up with mobile classes, trying to run and reset. Obviously, the Rogue has Shadow Step, Crippling Poison. The Hunter has the longest range for their moves by any class by a long shot. They obviously have their line of sight ability right now, so they can shoot behind walls. Huge burst with True Shot, and then obviously Aim Shot is a 2-hit KO into a kill shot, on top of how long their range is with this burst is just absolutely insane. They still haven't seen a nerf, which is excellent. It's an easy CC chain with Sap into a trap, Blind into a trap, Kidney into a trap. It's very easy. And then, of course, you have Fear from your Discipline Priest. And again, all 3 of these specs deal large amounts of damage in an instant. It's not setup based. And this is a random fact. It's also a really fun comp to play. I think this will be really fun for people to play. You'll have a lot of just a good time getting the job done with this one, I would say. So, now we are up to number 2. And it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, really. Sub-Rogue, Discipline Priest, and Frost Mage. Now, I've said this in my other videos, this team has seen the test of times. There's just no doubt about it. It has been good forever. So RMP is what it's called. It's been a standard since Burning Crusades. Frost controls the field better than any other class, and it's not even close. This comp destroys melee classes. It's really sad what they do to them with Ring of Frost, Frost Nova, Crippling Poison, Blind, Sap, Kidney Shot, Cheap Shot, Kick, and Fear. It's just a CC machine, and I honestly forgot to mention Polymorph. Just everything that they have together is just really, really insane when you think about it. Insane burst damage, one of the highest with Shadow Strike, double damage from the legendary. Frost Mage's Ice Lance right now is one of the hardest hitting abilities in the game. It also recently has seen a buff, which was pretty hard to believe when I was reading it with my own eyes. And then obviously Discipline Priest has the strongest damage of any healer and will outperform some lower end DPSs. More durable than you would think. With Ice Barrier, 2 Ice Blocks that would heal you now. Obviously, they have Alter Time, Smoke Bomb, and Shadow Duel will interrupt an incoming burst, and you can't trinket out of that Shadow Duel, so it will stop like a big burst from occurring if it's done at the proper time. This is more instant burst damage rather than setup based, and again, this is a comp that the stealth start for the DPS. Obviously, again, not for the healer, but you can set up from stealth, which is just another nice feature to have. Okay, and now we are here. It's time. Number 1, Sub Rogue, Resto Druid, and Shadow Priest. This team, I think, is definitely worthy of the number 1 spot, and let's get into why. So, first off, Sub and Shadow make one of the best double DPS teams in the game, as well as Resto and Shadow make one of the best 2s teams with a healer in the game. So, altogether, they make the best 3s team. Resto Druid's best partner right now is Shadow, because when they lack throughput and HOTS aren't keeping up with bigger bursts, a well-timed power word shield and Shadow Mend is exactly what Resto Druid needs to get them out of a bad situation. Shadow recent nerfs really don't even matter because their survivability is just insane with Power Word Shield, their off heals, like I just mentioned, Shadow Mend, Impenetrable ability, and Devouring Plague heals. Their burst is still on the stronger end and apply pressure with dot spread and instant apply from Damnation, and obviously their burst, like I said, is still strong. The Rogue's burst is one of the best in the game. Even if a healer, the Resto Druid, is stun locked and silenced, it doesn't matter. There's ways of getting out of this because Cloak of Shadows comboed with Life Swap make rogues take 0 damage and the priests go back to full health. Their self-sustainability is top notch for Shadow Priest and keep the team going even when their back is against the wall. Their CC chain is really good. You have all the rogue stuns, which I've mentioned in the Frost Mage comp. So you have the stuns, you have fear, you have silence, you have cyclone, you have mighty bash. This is just another insane CC chain comp, and it definitely, in my opinion, belongs in the number 1 spot. So that's going to be it for the first video of the 20 days worth of videos. I really hope that you guys enjoyed the content. If you did, like I mentioned, I would greatly appreciate any sub to my channel, and I'm going to make sure that the content keeps pouring out. I want everyone to be informed about Shadowlands. I'm really excited about it. I can't wait for it to come out, and I hope everyone's just as excited as me. And yeah, thank you as always for tuning in.